The galaxy thought the war was finally over. After years of burning stars, broken fleets, and endless battles, silence spread across the void. The great alien empires declared victory. The enemy was crushed. The humans, the strange species that had once terrified entire armadas, were said to be finished. No one had seen them in years. Their colonies were destroyed, their fleets gone. But the story was not true. It began on a forgotten battlefield. Ships drifted there like dead bones, broken and hollow. For years, scavengers had avoided the place, afraid of ghosts, afraid of what might still be hiding. On this night, the silence broke. A signal flickered, small at first, weak but real. Something moved among the wreckage. The scanners of a passing patrol ship picked it up, and the alien captain narrowed his eyes. It was impossible. Nothing should be alive there. No ship should still be working. And yet, the signal pulsed like a heartbeat. Inside the wreck, a single figure stirred. The light of a small screen reflected on a human face, scarred, tired, but alive. His name was Commander Hale. For years, he had hidden in the shadows of battlefields, surviving on scraps, fixing what he could, waiting for the right time. Everyone thought the humans were broken. They thought the war had been won. But Hale knew something they didn't. Humanity was not finished. It was only silent, watching, waiting for its chance to strike back. That night, the chance came. The patrol ship that had noticed the signal drew closer, scanning, its crew laughing. To them, this was nothing more than a wreck, a curiosity. Perhaps an old machine, perhaps some glitch. They did not expect a human. Certainly did not expect one still ready to fight. Hale's hands moved across the controls of his half-dead vessel. Sparks flew, warning lights burned red, but the ship responded. Old weapons, patched with stolen parts, powered up for the first time in years. The alien patrol didn't even raise its shields. Why would they? The war was won. The humans were gone. The first shot tore through the patrol ship like lightning. In seconds, the hunters became the hunted. The aliens scrambled, screaming in disbelief. Their scanners confirmed that there was a human, a living human, and worse, he was fighting back. The battle was short, brutal. Hale's ship burned with each move, tearing itself apart, but it didn't matter. When the patrol ship exploded in a blaze of fire, Hale sat back, breathing hard. His eyes burned with the fire of someone who had lost everything, but not his. Across the galaxy, reports spread. At first, no one believed it. A lone survivor? Impossible. The proof was undeniable. A human had returned to the battlefield, and worse, he had won. The news carried fear. To the empires, humans were not just another species. They were something else, something dangerous. The war against them had cost trillions of lives. They had fought like no one else, with madness, with stubbornness, with a will that broke logic. And now, after years of silence, one had returned. But Hale was not alone. Deep in the void, others were waking. Survivors, hidden fleets, soldiers thought lost forever. Hale's signal was not just a fight. It was a call, a warning, promise. Humanity was still here, and the war that everyone thought was finished had only just begun. The Alien Council met in secret chambers, their voices trembling. They argued, panicked, afraid to even speak the word human out loud. Some demanded the search be doubled, that every star be scanned, every shadow watched. Others said it was just one man, nothing more, a ghost clinging to a lost cause. But in the dark corners of the galaxy, whispers spread. Soldiers who had once fought humans remembered the terror. They remembered battles where logic failed, where humans kept fighting long after they should have fallen. They remembered screams and fire, and eyes that refused to give up. And now those eyes were back. Commander Hale stood alone on the bridge of his broken ship, staring into the stars. His vessel would not last long. He knew more enemies would come. But that was fine. He wanted them to come. He wanted them to know that humanity was not finished, that humanity would never be finished. His voice was low when he spoke into the dark. You thought the war was over? You thought we were gone? But you were wrong. The stars did not answer, but Hale knew they had heard. The fight was calling again, and this time, the galaxy would learn a lesson it had forgotten. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not end. The war was not won. It was only waiting for a human to return, and now one had. The galaxy burned with whispers. One human had appeared. One human had destroyed a patrol ship. But to Commander Hale, it was not enough. One dead patrol would not change the galaxy. He needed something bigger, something that would shake the enemy and tell every survivor. Still hiding that humanity was not finished, his ship was dying. Every system screamed at him. Engines were unstable, weapons were overheating, and the hull had more holes than metal. Hale knew it couldn't last. The broken vessel had one more fight left in it. He just had to choose where. Far away, an alien fleet commander received the news of the destroyed patrol. He laughed at it. To him, this was nothing. Scavenger, a desperate creature hiding among bones of war. A human, yes, but only one. We ended their race, the commander said coldly. If there is one, there may be a few more. Find them, burn them, end them for good. His fleet spread like claws across the stars. They searched wrecks, colonies, ruined outposts, and in their hunt they found something they had not expected. A message. It was short, simple, brutal. We are not gone. We are not done. Humanity, the words were carved into the side of a drifting ship. Every soldier who saw it felt a shiver. The handwriting was human. The threat was human. And they all remembered what those words meant. Meanwhile, Commander Hale watched from the shadows. He had planted that message himself. It was not just a warning, it was bait. The alien fleet would follow, chasing him deeper into the graveyards of war. And there, Hale had a plan. He guided his ship into the ruins of an ancient battlefield. Countless wrecks floated silently, human, alien, all broken and dead. To others, this place was a grave. To Hale, it was an arsenal. His hands worked quickly, attaching cables, rerouting power, scavenging weapons from corpses of ships. He knew the enemy would come. He wanted them to come. When the first alien ships arrived, they saw nothing but ruins. They moved carefully, scanning, weapons armed. Then, without warning, fire erupted from the graveyard. Beams of light shot from broken holes, mines drifted out of shadows, and explosions tore through the fleet. The aliens screamed. It was impossible. The battlefield was alive. The wrecks were fighting back. But it wasn't the wrecks. It was Hale. He had turned the graveyard into a trap. Every weapon, every scrap of energy, every broken machine had been bent to his will. From the center of the storm, his voice echoed across open channels. You thought we were finished. You thought humans only die. Watch us fight even from the grave. The alien fleet broke in panic. Some ships were destroyed. Others fled. But the damage was done. The galaxy heard the message. A human had turned death into a weapon. News spread like fire. Some called him a ghost, others a demon, others simply the survivor. To the alien soldiers, one thing was certain. He was human. He was dangerous. But Hale knew he could not keep fighting alone. His ship was falling apart. His body was weak from years of hiding. If humanity was truly to rise again, he needed others. He sent a signal, one he had been keeping hidden for years, a signal only humans would understand. It was not words, it was music, a song of Earth carried through the stars. Somewhere, far away, another human heard it, then another, and another. Eyes opened in hidden bunkers. Weapons were lifted in secret bases. Across the galaxy, survivors stirred. The war was not over, and soon Commander Hale would not be fighting alone. The signal spread through the stars like fire in dry grass. To most aliens, it was just noise-strange notes of music, haunting, almost sad. But to humans, the meaning was clear. It was home. Hidden survivors heard it, in forgotten mines, and ruined colonies and dark caves of broken moons. They paused, listened, and remembered. The song was not just sound, it was a call, promise. Humanity was rising again. Commander Hale waited in the wreck of his ship, unsure if anyone would answer. Days passed. Silence pressed in on him like a weight. Doubt crept into his mind. What if no one was left? What if he was truly the last? Then the answer came. A small transmission reached him, weak, full of static, but real. This is Captain Myrave. If you are human, if you still fight, you are not alone. Hale froze. His heart pounded. Another human. It's not just one, but a captain. A survivor like him? He sent his reply quickly, his voice steady but filled with fire. This is Commander Hale. Humanity fights still. Give me your location. What came next was more than Hale expected. Captain Vey was not alone. She had a ship, a real warship, hidden deep in the shadow of a gas giant. And she had a crew. Dozens of survivors, soldiers, engineers, even children. When Hale's broken vessel limped toward her coordinates, he saw it with his own eyes. The human ship, though scarred and patched, was alive and waiting. The moment he stepped aboard, silence filled the hangar. Dozens of human eyes turned toward him. For so long, they had thought their kind finished. And now, standing before them, was the man who had struck fear back into the enemy. You're the one they're whispering about, Captain Vey said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. The survivor who fights with the dead. Just a soldier, Hale replied, and I don't plan to stop. For a long moment, the crew studied him. Then, one by one, they saluted. Hope had returned, but hope was dangerous. The aliens were already hunting harder. Fleets scoured the stars, searching for any sign of humans. Hal knew their time was short. If they were to survive, they needed to strike first around the war table. The humans planned. The galaxy thought humans were finished, so every fleet traveled without fear. Supply lines were open, weapons moved freely, fuel depots were barely guarded. Hale's hand pointed to a glowing mark on the map. Here, he said, an enemy fuel station. If we take it, we take their fire. We show them humans still burn. Brighter. Captain Vey studied him. That's suicide. Our ship is strong, but not enough for a fleet. Not a fleet, Hale said. Just one strike. Quick, sharp, then gone. The crew looked at each other. Fear filled their eyes, but something else was their true determination. For years they had been hiding, surviving, running. Now, for the first time, they would fight back. The mission began in silence. The human ship glided through the void, hidden in shadows. Every heart on board beat like a drum. Every soldier knew what this meant. If they failed, humanity would die in truth. The alien station hung in the dark like a giant beast, its belly glowing with fuel. Ships drifted around it, lazy, unprepared. They believed no enemy could touch them. They were wrong. The first human torpedo struck without warning, tearing through the station's outer hull. Explosions followed, fire spread, aliens panicked, rushing to respond. But the humans were already inside. Commander Hale led the strike team. His boots hit the metal deck, his rifle steady. The aliens screamed as humans poured through the corridors fast, furious, unstoppable. For years, these survivors had hidden. They fought like demons unleashed. Clear the halls. Hal shouted. His voice carried like thunder. The aliens resisted, but their will cracked. Fear spread among them. This was not just another enemy boarding party. This was human rage burning, relentless. Within minutes, the fuel station was theirs. The humans overloaded the core, set charges, and pulled back. From space, Captain Vey watched as the station erupted in a storm of fire, a sun blooming in the void. Her crew cheered. For the first time in years, they had struck back. But Hale did not cheer. He stared into the flames, his face hard. He knew what this meant. The enemy would come now, stronger, angrier, determined to erase them once more. The war was awake again. And this time, humanity would not fight alone. The fire from the destroyed fuel station still burned when the galaxy began to shake. Every empire, every fleet, every council chamber buzzed with the same word: humans. The news spread too fast to contain. An alien patrol destroyed. A graveyard turned into a trap. A fuel station stolen and burned. This was not the act of scavengers. This was not the act of ghosts. This was war, and the one leading it was human. The alien council gathered in a fortress of glass and steel. Dozens of commanders stood in silence as the High Chancellor rose, his voice cold with fear. We ended them once. If they rise again, we may never end them a second time. Humans fight like no other. We cannot allow this. Some argued it was only a handful of survivors. Others warned it could be more hidden fleets, scattered armies, colonies waiting in. The dark fear spread like a poison. And fear of humans was the deepest kind. Orders were given. Entire fleets moved. Not to fight other empires, not to conquer worlds, but to hunt the last humans. But the humans were already moving. Aboard the scarred warship, Commander Hale and Captain Vey stood over their map table. They'd won a battle, but they had also painted a target on their backs. Soon the enemy would come with numbers they could not match. We can't just keep running, Vey said. We need allies. Need to show the galaxy that humans are still worth standing with. Or show them why they should be afraid to stand against us. Hale replied, his voice hard. The crew watched, silent. Both were right. They needed strength. They needed to prove humanity was not just alive, dangerous. The chance came sooner than expected. Their scouts found a prison station hidden near a dying star. The station was not for ordinary criminals. It was for enemies of the Empire. And among those enemies were humans. Hale's jaw tightened when he saw the recordings. Ragged faces, thin bodies, but unmistakably human. Survivors who had been captured instead of killed. We get them out, Hale said without hesitation. The plan was madness. The prison was heavily guarded. Entire fleets patrolled nearby. The humans had no choice. Every prisoner was not just a life, they were a soldier, a voice. A piece of humanity that could not be left to rot. The ship moved in under the shadow of the dying star. Heat waves made sensors blind. Patrol ships drifted lazily, confident no one would dare approach. They were wrong. The human warship darted forward, silent as death. Torpedoes struck the prison's outer guns. Strike teams poured through the breach, rifles blazing. Commander Hale led from the front. His footsteps thundered through the metal halls. Aliens turned corners and fell before his fire. His voice roared. Through the coms, find them, free them. Cells opened one by one. Human eyes blinked at the sudden light. Some cried. Some fell to their knees. And when they saw who had come for them, their disbelief turned to fire. Humans, one whispered. We thought we were the last. You're not, Hale answered, pulling the prisoner to his feet. Not anymore. But the enemy reacted fast. Alarms blared. Reinforcements poured into the station. Gunfire echoed through the halls. For every prisoner freed, another alien soldier appeared. The humans fought like wolves, cornered but savage. Captain Vey's voice cut through the chaos. Hey, we can't hold this. We need to move now. But Hale refused to leave anyone behind. Push deeper, freeing more, gathering more. His rifle ran dry, his armor scorched, but his eyes burned with iron will. At last the last cell opened. Dozens of humans, gaunt but alive, stumbled out. They followed Hale like shadows, ready to fight, ready to live. The retreat was a storm of fire. Explosions tore through the prison as the human ship pulled away. Behind them, the station erupted, a star of flames in the void, on board. The rescued survivors filled the halls. Their voices shook with disbelief. Their tears fell, but their fists clenched with rage. For the first time in years, they were free. And they were not alone. Hale stood before them, his face marked by battle. You thought humanity was finished, he said, but look around you. We are still here, and we are only growing stronger. The cheers that followed were not loud. They were raw, fierce. The sound of a people who refused to die, and somewhere, across the galaxy, the Alien Council received the report. The prison was gone. Hundreds of humans had been freed. The survivor had become a leader. The war was no longer a whisper. It was a storm. The prison was gone. The freed humans filled the halls of the warship, their voices echoing with new life. For years they had been silent. Now their words, their anger, their hope, all returned. But freedom brought danger. The alien fleets did not ignore the loss. To them, this was a humiliation. A prison station destroyed, hundreds of humans freed. The Council's orders were clear. Find them, crush them, erase every trace of their existence. Soon, fleets stretched across the stars, their numbers too large to count. Entire sectors burned with the search. Commander Hale watched the reports. With cold eyes, he knew the enemy would not stop. Every victory only pulled more fire toward them, but that was the point. He wanted the galaxy to see that humans were not hiding anymore. Captain Vey stood at his side. If we keep striking, they'll bring their full fleets down on us. We'll be outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Hale's answer was simple. Then, we don't fight fleets. We fight where it hurts. The humans gathered around the table. Hale's hand hovered over the map, his finger pointing to a massive structure deep inside alien territory. A communications hub, the core of the Empire's voice, linking fleets, councils, and stations. If this falls, Hale said, fleets are blind, their orders scatter, their control weakens. The galaxy sees that humans can reach anywhere. The crew stared at the glowing mark. The hub was one of the most heavily defended sites in the Empire. To attack, it was madness. To succeed would be legend. The plan was set. The human warship, patched and scarred but burning with new purpose, slipped into enemy space. Prisoners, now turned soldiers, worked alongside Vey's crew, reforging themselves into warriors. They trained. With old rifles, with salvaged armor, with pure rage, Hale walked among them, his voice steady. They think humans are finished. They think we are weak.
Show them we are fire.
Show them we are war. The soldiers answered with fists raised, their eyes blazing. The approach was silent. Enemy patrols drifted by, unaware of the shadow sliding. Past, the hub loomed ahead, a vast web of towers and antennas glowing with endless signals. The strike began with thunder. Ow! Missiles ripped into the outer defenses. Explosions lit the void.
Ow!
The alien hubs screamed with alarms as humans descended, like ghosts of vengeance. Inside, corridors shook with fire. Hale led the charge, his soldiers at his back. Every step forward was a storm of bullets, every room cleared with brutal precision. The aliens fought desperately, but the humans fought harder. They were not just soldiers, they were survivors, prisoners, families with nothing left but rage. Every strike was personal. Every shot carried years of silence and pain. Captain Vey commanded from above, her ship weaving through enemy fire, carving open paths for the strike teams. Her voice never wavered. Push forward. Court chamber is close. Hale reached the central tower. Sparks rained down, walls collapsing, alarms blaring. The enemy commander stood there, armored, defiant. You should have stayed dead, human, the alien growled. Hale's reply was a roar. Humans don't stay dead. The fight was brutal. Blades clashed, rifles cracked, fists struck. At last, Hale's blade cut through the alien's armor, sending him crashing to the floor. The tower shuddered as explosives were set. Hale gave the order, and the humans pulled back. From orbit, Captain Vey watched the hub ignite. A wave of fire swept through the massive structure, towers collapsing, antennas snapping. The Empire's voice torn apart in seconds. The humans cheered as the firestorm spread. The hub was gone. The enemy fleets, once united, now screamed in confusion, their orders lost.
Oh.
Their lines broken, but victory came with a cost. As the humans fled, enemy reinforcements poured into the system. The warship shook under endless fire, hulls split, engines burned, alarms screamed. In the chaos, Captain Vey's voice reached Hale through the comms. We can't outrun them. We'll have to fight until the end. Hale's voice was calm, even in the storm. Then we'll show them how humans end. The crew braced for the final stand. Guns roared, fire spread, enemies closed in from every side. The void was alive with death. And then something unexpected happened. A signal cut through the fire. A human signal. Not Hale's, not Vay's. Another ship, another survivor, then another. Out of the darkness, human ships appeared, small, broken, but real. Survivors who had heard the call, who had followed the music, who refused to die. They struck the enemy from behind, tearing through their formation. The alien fleet staggered, shocked. For the first time in years, it was not one ship, not one survivor. It was a human fleet. Small, fragile, but burning with fury. And the galaxy felt the truth. The war was no longer a whisper. It was spreading. The battlefield burned behind them. The alien communications hub was gone, a hole ripped through the Empire's control. More shocking than the fire, more terrifying than the destruction, was the sight that followed human ships. Not just Hale's, not just Captain Vay's, dozens of ships. Some were small transports turned into war machines. Others were old freighters patched with stolen guns. But every one of them carried survivors. For the first time in years, humans stood together again. The fleet gathered in the shadow of a dead moon. Fires were patched, ships were repaired, and the rescued prisoners found themselves among brothers and sisters once more. The sound of human voices filled the air, no longer whispers, but songs, laughter, shouts of determination. Commander. Hal stood at the center of it all, silent, watching. His heart burned at the sight. He had fought alone for so long, he had almost forgotten what it was like to see a fleet of his own people. Captain Vay stepped beside him, her eyes sharp but softer than before. You started this? The galaxy thought we were gone, but look at it. Them? Hale shook his head. I didn't start it. Humanity never stopped. It was always waiting. I only lit the fire. But the fire drew shadows. Far away, the alien council raged. Reports of the destroyed hub were bad enough, but the sight of a human fleet was worse. The High Chancellor slammed his claws onto the table, his voice trembling with fury. We should have finished them when we had the chance. Now they rise again, and every empire that remembers their terror will begin to fear. Fear breeds rebellion. Fear spreads. If humans rise, we all fall. Orders were given. The Empire would bring everything. Not patrols, not scattered fleets. An armada. Enough ships to drown the stars. Back at the human camp, Hale and Vay received word of the coming storm. Scouts reported massive fleets moving, larger than anything the humans could ever face. The crew stared in silence. Fear touched their eyes. They had fought well, but this was different. A fleet of survivors could not stand against the full weight of the Empire. For the first time, doubt spread. We can't win this, one soldier whispered. Not against all of them? Hale's gaze cut through the fear. His voice was low but sharp. Humans don't fight wars by numbers. We fight wars by will, and our will is stronger than theirs. Still, even Hale knew the truth. They needed more than will. They needed allies. Captain Vay spoke what many feared to say. The other empires hate the Council's rule. They have suffered under them too. If we strike right, if we show them the Council can bleed, they might side with us. The plan was dangerous. To reach the other empires, they would need to cross enemy lines. To convince them, they would need to show strength, not weakness. And to hold them, they would need to prove that humans were not a dying flame, but a storm, rising. So Hal made his choice. We hit them where it hurts most. Not their fleets, not their prisons, their pride. His finger touched the map. A shipyard, one of the largest in the Empire. Hundreds of vessels were being built there. It was the heart of their power, the source of their endless fleets. If we destroy it, Hale said, the galaxy will see. The Empire will be bleeding. The other empires will know humans are worth following. The fleet prepared. Every survivor, every soldier, every ship readied for war. They knew the danger. They knew they might not return. But their eyes were steady, because this was more than survival. This was humanity's roar. When the fleet launched, Silence filled the stars. Dozens of ships cutting through the void, engines burning like fire. From a distance, they looked fragile, broken. But inside each ship beat the heart of humanity's, stubborn, furious, unending. The shipyard came into view, a vast forest of metal and steel. Half-built warships hanging like giants in the dark. Patrols drifted, defenses armed. The humans charged, explosions lit the void. Human ships darted like wolves, tearing into the massive structure. Torpedoes ripped through incomplete warships, turning them into blazing fireballs. Aliens screamed as alarms blared. The defenders scrambled, but they were unprepared. They had thought humans gone. They had thought themselves safe. Now they're strongest. Shipyard was burning before their eyes. Commander Hale's voice thundered across the comms. You thought humanity was finished? Watch us rise from the ashes. The battle raged, fire against fire, steel against steel. The humans fought like demons, every strike fueled by vengeance. Every explosion a message. By the time the alien reinforcements arrived, it was too late. The shipyard was a sun of fire, its heart torn open, its pride shattered. The humans pulled away, ships scarred, some lost, but their fleet still alive. And behind them, the galaxy watched. Other empires stirred. They saw what the humans had done. They saw the empire bleeding. And in whispers and shadows, some began to think the unthinkable, maybe. Humans could win. Back on the warship, Hale looked at his crew, at his people. His voice was steady, his eyes burning. This was not just a strike. This was a promise. Humanity does not die. Humanity rises. The galaxy will rise with us. The shipyard was gone. The explosion still glowed like a new sun, a scar carved into the Empire's pride. Across the galaxy, the news spread faster than light. The humans had destroyed what was thought untouchable. And with that fire, the galaxy changed. Some empires cheered in secret. Others whispered in fear. But for the first time in years, voices rose against the council. Humans, the most hunted, the most broken, could strike so deep then. Maybe the Empire was not invincible. In their fortress, the alien council roared with rage. The High Chancellor slammed his fist against the table. Enough. They spread like a disease. If we do not end them now, the galaxy will rally to their side. And so the order was given, an armada unlike any before gathered. Thousands of ships, weapons enough to burn entire sectors. Their target was clear. Find the humans, crush them, erase them forever. But Hale had expected this. In the shadows of a hidden moon, the human fleet prepared. Ships floated silently, engines off, crews working. In whispers, Commander Hale and Captain Vey stood before their gathered leaders, captains of the survivor ships. Faces hard with determination. They will come for us, Hale said, his voice steady. More than we can count, more than we can fight. We will not meet them alone. The others frowned, confused. Vey's eyes narrowed. You're certain they'll answer? They will, Hale replied. Because the galaxy hates the Council as much as we do. They only needed a spark, and we gave it to them. The moment came days later. Scouts reported movement ships on the edge of their space. Not human, alien, the fleet tensed, weapons primed. But the newcomers did not fire. A single vessel approached under a white flag. The humans aimed their guns, ready to strike at the first betrayal. The alien ship opened a channel. The image of a tall, scaled commander filled the screen. His voice was sharp, but not hostile. You are human, he said, and you have done what none of us dared. You bled the Council. Hal stepped forward. His voice like iron. We are not finished. But we cannot fight the Empire alone. The alien commander was silent for a long time, and slowly he bowed his head. Then you will not fight alone. One by one, more ships appeared. Not many, but enough to matter. Small fleets from empires long crushed under the Council's rule. Rebels, outcasts, desperate warriors who had waited for anyone to stand against the Empire. Now they had found that hope grew, but so did danger. The armada of the Council was moving fast, burning worlds along the way. Every star they passed turned to ash. Time was running out. The humans and their new allies gathered in council. Around a table lit with maps of stars, plans were made. They could not outnumber the Empire. They could not outgun them. But they could strike with precision, with fury, with human will. Captain Vey's eyes scanned the map. Their heading, here, too strong to face head-on. Hale nodded. And we don't face them head-on. We cut their heart. He pointed to the center of the map. The flagship of the Armada. It's the Chancellor's own vessel, a giant fortress, carrying the command. That bound the fleets together. If it falls, Hale said, their unity falls. The fleets will shatter, and the galaxy will see them bleed. Silence filled the room. Everyone knew what it meant. To strike the flagship was suicide. But it was the only way. The humans did not waver. The allies hesitated, but one by one, they agreed. They had seen the shipyard burn. They'd seen the council humiliated. They believed. The plan was set. On the eve of battle, Hale walked the halls of his ship. Soldiers stood ready, weapons polished, eyes burning with fire. Some were veterans. Some were prisoners freed from cages. Some were children grown into fighters too soon. All of them were human. He stopped before them, his voice low but strong. They thought we were gone. They thought the war was won. But tomorrow, the galaxy will see the truth. Humanity fights. Humanity does not end. The soldiers answered with a roar that shook the halls. The next day, the stars filled with ships. The Empire's armada stretched across the void, endless, unstoppable, and facing them, smaller but unbroken, the human fleet and their new allies, stood. The battle that would decide the galaxy had begun. The void shook with war. The Empire's armada stretched across the stars, thousands of ships burning with power. Their weapons lit the darkness, a storm of fire that could drown worlds. Facing them was the human fleet, scarred and fragile. But beside them stood their new allies, ships of empires once broken. Rebels who had waited for this day. The battle began with thunder. Enemy fire ripped through space, tearing apart asteroids, turning night into flame. Human ships darted like wolves, striking fast, vanishing into shadows. Allied vessels fought beside them, but still, the enemy was overwhelming. The humans were outnumbered 100-1, yet they did not break. Commander, his voice thundered across every channel. Hold the line. Make them bleed for every inch. His ship cut through the chaos, guns blazing. Captain Vey's warship shielded the smaller vessels, carving paths through enemy fire. The humans fought with madness, with stubbornness, with the fury that had once terrified the galaxy. But the Empire's numbers pressed harder. Ship after ship fell. Flames consumed the void. The human fleet was being crushed. Then Hale gave the order, strike the heart. The humans broke formation, diving straight into the storm. Enemy guns tore into them, but they did not stop. Their target was the flagship, the Chancellor's fortress ship. It's a monster of steel and fire towering over the battlefield. The Empire laughed. To them it was suicide. But humans had always turned suicide into victory. The human fleet smashed through the defenses. Torpedoes lit the dark. Explosions ripped through escorts. The flagship loomed ahead, a mountain of guns. Hale's ship was the first to reach it. Its hull burned, its shields cracked, but its guns roared. Vey's ship followed, engines screaming. As they pushed beyond their limits, the battle was chaos. Human soldiers boarded the flagship, storming its halls. Blades clashed, rifles roared, screams echoed through steel. Commander Hale led the charge, his eyes burning with fire. Every step forward was carved in blood. His soldiers followed not with fear but with fury. At last Hale reached the command chamber. The High Chancellor stood there, towering, armored, his voice dripping with hatred. You should have stayed in the grave, the alien spat. Hale's reply was sharp as steel. Humans don't stay dead. The fight was brutal. Blades struck, fists crashed. The chamber shook with their battle. The Chancellor was strong, faster, armored like a beast. But Hale fought with something more. He fought with rage, with loss. with the weight of all humanity burning in his veins. At last his blade struck true. As the Chancellor fell, his roar cut short, his blood spilling across the floor. The chamber shook as the humans planted charges. The flagship's heart was torn open. Outside, the galaxy watched in shock as the impossible happened. The Chancellor's flagship erupted in fire, splitting apart, consumed in a storm of light. The Empire's fleets wavered. Their command was gone, their unity shattered. Some fought on, others fled. The humans and their allies pressed harder, striking with fury. The battle turned. What had begun as certain death became victory. When the fire dimmed, the void was filled not with the Empire's roar, but with silence. Broken ships drifted. Survivors cheered. Humanity stood. On the bridge of his scarred warship, Commander Hale gazed into the stars. His armor was torn, his body broken, but his eyes burned still. Captain Vey stood beside him, her voice steady but soft. We did it. Against everything, we did it. Kel shook his head. No, humanity did it. Every survivor, every fighter, every voice that refused to die. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The fleet gathered around them, humans and allies, scarred but alive. Across the galaxy, whispers rose. The council was broken. The Empire was bleeding. The humans, the species once thought finished, now stood at the center of history once more. They had not just survived, they'd won, and the galaxy would never forget the day humans returned.